Hello everyone, my name is Ratkovic Miloje, I am grandmaster from Serbia, and in this video course we will talk about Colle system. Colle system is an opening system which was developed by Belgian master Edgard Colle, and you will see that Colle system is one of the simplest openings for white. There are two types, we can say types of Colle system. So there is traditional Colle system or Colle Koltanowski, and there is also Colle Zukertort system. Colle Koltanowski or traditional Colle seems like this. So you put your pawn on d4, c3, e3, and you have pawns on b2 and f2. So this seems very passive for white to play like this with pawns. But you will see when we start analyzing some positions, and we will also take a look some of games, you will see that white can very quickly develop minor pieces, so complete development, and fight for e4. After white plays e4, c1 bishop will be activated, and also white will gain much more space. So we can say that at beginning you play very simple moves, but you have very clear idea how will you play in the future, and after you get e4 you will see by analyzing games that white position is very active, and also it can be very sharp after opening. So this is traditional Colle or Colle Koltanowski, when you have this triangle with your pawns. The difference between Colle Koltanowski and Colle Zukertort is that in Colle Zukertort you don't play c3. So in Colle Zukertort you organize your pawns like this: d4, e3, and later you play b3 with bishop b2, with very similar ideas. So again you will just develop knight f3, bishop d3, castling. So you will not rush with b3. You are developing your queen side a bit later, what we will see. And in every case the plan is just to develop as soon as possible, and I can say that this type of Colle system, so Colle Zukertort system, is more flexible than Colle Koltanowski, because when you play Colle Koltanowski you cannot do it against all openings, or it wouldn't be that great for white to do it against all openings. For example, against King's Indian, Colle Koltanowski or traditional Colle system isn't so great, but against King's Indian it is possible to play Colle Zukertort, and white has very decent positions after openings. Now the question is, who should play Colle system? And we can try to answer on common question: is it possible to become strong chess player only with Colle system? I can tell you that when I was younger and very long time I played Colle system for white, so almost only Colle system. And generally, if you simply don't want to memorize a lot of theory, or if you want to avoid theory against your opponent who play something what is not what you don't like to play, for example you play against King's Indian or Benoni, against some very direct openings, and you would like to avoid it, you can play Colle system. Should you play it constantly, so always only Colle system? Why not? You will see that Colle system can have many different types of positions. So sometimes you attack, sometimes you need to play very positionally. Sometimes you are simply exploiting weaknesses in black's position. So we cannot say that Colle system is a totally passive opening. So we can say that just at the beginning you want to develop your pieces as soon as possible. You play very simply, and in the future at some moment you will gain a lot of space in the center and you will open up position. Colle system is also opening which was played by many strong grandmasters. Also nowadays a lot of strong grandmasters play Colle system. For example, Magnus Carlsen played Colle when he played match against Sergei Karyakin, and a lot of other extremely strong grandmasters. When I say Colle system, I mean on both, on traditional Colle or Colle Koltanowski and on Colle Zukertort. This video course will start with analyzing traditional Colle system, so with Colle Koltanowski system, and let's see now some concrete lines. So we will start with classical Colle system, so knight f6, e3, c5 for black. So after you played e3, and you know that in traditional Colle you want to organize your pawn structure like that, with bishop d3, and your main idea is to play e4 in the future. So you played e3, most likely your opponent will take advantage of this move, so this move isn't the most active move, of course, and he will try to control the center immediately, so he will play c5. We will see in next videos that instead of c5, black can also play different moves, for example bishop f5 or bishop g4, or even a bit passively e6, what is also possible, of course. But c5 is the most common. c5 we play c3, so we are playing in the spirit of Colle Koltanowski system, and at this moment black has a few different ideas. Black can go knight bd7 to defend c5 pawn, and then to play kingside fianchetto. That is very interesting idea for black, and white should know what to do, but this is system opening, so it is possible for you just to follow general ideas. So we can say that big advantage of Colle system is that if you're not sure about theory, and you should not be sure about theory, so you should just follow general principles and ideas for white. So you should play knight d2, bishop d3, castling, e4. We cannot say that always you need to play like this, but generally this is your plan, and if something unusual happens, probably it will not be so good for your opponent, and you will simply need to keep developing or on some way punish your opponent. So this is an option for black, knight bd7, g6. Instead of that, black can also go knight c6, what is very dubious for black, because with knight c6 black let you take there and you can defend your pawn. Probably the easiest and the most logical for black is to play e6, and this is something what you will face usually, because it's simply very logical and it's in the spirit of Queen's Gambit declined. e6 we play bishop d3, knight c6, knight bd2, so you play in the spirit of Colle system. Bishop d6, castling, castling. Now the question is what to play. So you know that you want to play e4 at some moment, because you want to open up your c1 bishop. But you can see that if you play e4 immediately, black can take on d4. So if you play this, black is gonna take. You will take, I guess, with the pawn, and now black is gonna take d4. After d4, I guess you take with the knight. And what is the problem here? You have isolated pawn. Of course, also at this moment, white is probably slightly better, but this is something what you don't want to do, because this can make a lot of problems to white. And it's better to choose something safer. I think here best idea for white is to take this c5, bishop c5, and then to play e4. You can see that at this moment white can also, one very interesting idea, white can play in the spirit of Slav defense. So now we can say that this is reversed Slav defense. If you play for black Slav or semi-Slav, you can play also this without, I can say, any preparations, because you will be totally familiar with this position. So here also possible is b4 for white. b4 with bishop to or b4 first and then e4. So also that is very interesting idea for white. Why don't I like b4? After b4, you know, somehow you are obligated to think about your c3 pawn. Because if you don't push that pawn at some moment, if somehow you don't eliminate it, it can be weak. Because with playing b4, your c3 pawn is backward pawn. So I think it's simply not necessary to do that. But as I said, that is also very solid for white. I think much easier is to play e4. What is our idea after e4? So after e4 we are simply opening up c1 bishop, of course, and we are gaining space in the center. After we played e4, you can notice that we cannot say this position is equal. This position is slightly better for white. And why is that? Because simply now black has to be very careful. So we want to play e5. After e5, we are opening up our d3 bishop. So after e5, black is facing already some concrete problems. So logically, black should stop e5. And here best move for black is queen c7. We will also analyze e5 for black, what is not so great. But let's start first with queen c7. Queen c7, we play queen e2, keep developing. Nothing special. Black plays h6. So let's say black doesn't play anything. h6 is a useful move because in future maybe we'll have Greek gift ideas. So bishop h7 maybe with knight g5. So that's why a good move for black is h6. And after h6 we play e5. It would be good to memorize this main line for white, because you will see it is very forcing, and if your opponent makes mistake at some moment you will have huge advantage. So it is very similar for you, so if you're not careful you can have problems, because you play e5, your pawn on e5 could be very weak, and if you didn't memorize line, if you make one little mistake you can face serious problems. So it would be nice to memorize at least this main line. e5, knight g4, knight b3, bishop b6, and this is very interesting moment. So we can say also that this is the key moment. Black wants to simply take on e5. But you can see that if you try to defend your e5 pawn with bishop f4, at some moment black can play f6, even immediately. And then again black is increasing pressure to e5 pawn. But the question is how to continue. And it would be a big mistake if you played e5 here and you didn't think about this position. Because then it means you were just guessing, you were not calculate properly, and you're just lucky that now you have very nice idea. And that idea is knight d4. So why are we playing knight d4? Because simply if black takes on e5, what is generally best for black, we are gonna take, and we play bishop f4, we are pinning the knight. Of course we will not win a piece here, we will not win any material, but at least we will take back that pawn, and plus black is weakening his king now, so black has to play f6 to defend his knight. And after f6 you can notice that the biggest problem for black are these light squares. So this can be very problematic. f6 we play rook e1, very logical move, so again increasing pressure to e5. Black plays bishop d7. Bishop d7, I can say you don't even think about taking bishop e5, f e5, queen e5. So you don't want to play endgame where your opponent has bishop spare, and on purpose from opening to go into that. So then the whole opening wouldn't be good. So you don't take bishop e5, of course, you keep playing actively. And very nice move for white is queen h5. Why queen h5? Because you don't want to take with the queen on e5. You don't want to trade queens. So after you take with rook on e5 or bishop, next move you don't want to take with the queen and trade queens. What perfectly makes sense. So if you want advantage after opening, you will not do something like that. Queen h5, and now also it is very problematic for black, because the question is what to play. And it wouldn't be good for black just to keep developing, because we can see that now you have concrete threats. Now you can, for example, take rook e5, fe5, and then you take with your bishop. And the next move you will try queen g6 and attack black king. So you can very quickly win a game here. So let's say your opponent plays something like rook a e8. Of course you will take rook e5, fe5, bishop e5. And what will black play? So black has to play with the queen, and now we have queen g6. And look this position. This is under attack, you're threatening h7. Simply black has huge problems here. And this position is bad for black. So, as I said previously, black has to be familiar with these lines, because if black isn't, now it is move number 17. So can you believe in Colle system you win a game in 20 moves? And later people say that Colle system is very passive opening for white. It is not passive if you know how to play it. It can be very active. So here you see that position is totally dynamic. You are pawn down. Next move you are planning to sacrifice the exchange. So position is completely unclear. We have no idea what's happening on the board. So if you want to know what is happening on the board, you have to think like 15 or 20 minutes here. So we can conclude at this moment that Colle system, Colle Zukertort, or like we see now, traditional Colle, Koltanowski, can be extremely sharp. Only if you want that, of course. So if you, after first 10 moves, keep playing passively, of course, you will not have sharp position. But if you play e4, as we played, if you play e5, if you sacrifice that pawn, if you play for activity, for the attack on kingside, then you will face these kind of positions, which can you win very quickly. Queen h5, best move for black is queen d8. Why is this best move? It is very logical, because after we take bishop e5 at some moment, so rook e5, fe5, bishop e5, black's queen isn't under attack anymore. So black can play with some other piece, or play with queen on a better square. Still we take rook e5, fe5, bishop e5. So this is very nice positional sacrifice of exchange. You are the exchange down, so you sacrificed your rook for the knight on e5, but look your bishops. Also black has bishops paired, that is true, but compare your bishops and black's bishops. So I mean simply his bishops are doing nothing. If you put in engine this position, it will show that position is totally equal. So can you believe you're the whole exchange down? So we can say like 2 pawns down and you have totally equal position. So this is very nice to see and to analyze this position, to see where is white's compensation. Black plays queen g5. Reasonable move, so black wants to force trading. Of course you don't want to trade, you play queen e2. Black plays rook e8. What you want now? Now you just want to, at some moment, create battery. So put your queen in front of bishop, so queen can be on d3, bishop on c2 or b1, and then you have big mate threats. Rook e8, f4, queen e7, bishop c2. The next move you wanna play queen d3. You are threatening mate on h7 and then on g7. We can say that this position is slightly better for white, so it is not any more equal. We played the most logical moves for black, but still you see that black is facing a lot of problems. So we can say that this is the main line in Colle Koltanowski. So we played the most logical things for black. As you saw, we just developed. Also, we played quite actively for black, but simply you have e4 on time, and after that you play e5. And very important thing to memorize is that it would be good to analyze this position before you play it. So because if you play e5 and you didn't analyze it, so if you don't know what to do next, it will be very difficult for you to find these things. And you saw that you have to sacrifice the exchange, so you are the exchange down, but you have compensation for that. Something like that is very difficult to find when we play a game, so that's why it is good to memorize at least the idea of which is behind e5 and how does white's attack look.